Fingers and Pies podcast brought to you by Mairon Freight UK.
Welcome to the first episode, the pilot episode, I think they call it, of the Fingers and Pies podcast, sponsored by Mairon Freight UK. What's the tagline, Tommy? It's something like,
If we can't move it, it can't be moved.
If we can't move it, it can't be moved.
That's it.
That's bad research of me for a start, so we'll move on. Fingers and Pies podcast. I'm going to introduce our guests in a moment. You've heard another voice in there, Tommy. Not really a guest. You'll be a fixture, Tommy. You're the
Unfortunately
presenter.
so. Yes.
Yeah, you'll be the presenter like me. So my name is Zaki Hassan. I'll explain where I'm from. For the video podcast, you can see I've got Fortis on me. I'll explain a little bit about that, but not too much. And obviously we've got Mr. Tommy Watson himself, who is Mr. Mairon Freight UK.
Apparently so. Apparently so. We'll go with that.
We go. And we have the guest on today from WSC Finance, co-founder and director, Sam Phipps. How you doing,
Morning.
Sam?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourselves?
Yeah, all good, all good. Let me explain what the Fingers and Pies podcast is. Let's probably do that first of all. It was born through a conversation between myself and you, Tommy.
Yeah.
You like to obviously advertise your company in certain different ways,
Yep.
and different being the word. I think we had a chat at a British touring car round. You know, motorsport is going to be mentioned, I should imagine, on this podcast.
Yeah.
But we had a chat at the British touring car round, and I was like, look, I really want to work with you. I really want to do stuff with all that sort of stuff. And you're like, I really do like to do stuff differently, Zach. So get thinking and come back to me.
That's
and I was
it,
like,
yeah.
okay. So we thought, and we come up with this.
Gave you a little bit of a task, but yeah, I do. It's something that I've always liked to do some things a bit differently, stand out from the crowd, and yeah, why not?
Indeed. And the reason it's called Fingers and Pies, I'm looking at people behind the camera here because they are as guilty as me when it comes to this name. Now, it's nothing to do with the American pie scene. Can we just put that to bed?
Although we've got to try and get a few things in there just to link it right.
Oh, we do. I think when we introduced our guest Sam here to my right, I think we put something cheeky like, we'll find out what pies his fingers have been in or something. There's all sorts of innuendo with this.
That went down well. That went down well. Very well. Yeah.
They're like, oh my God, we started to mean to go on. It is meant to do with the whole work-life balance, and all of us are spinning plates, or, as the saying goes, have our fingers in pies. That's the idea of it. But do what you will with it, is what we say.
I'm sure we're going to go in all sorts of directions here.
Exactly. Now I've kind of introduced it, let's talk a little bit about us. I mean, we're going to have a chance to sort of mention our companies and all that sort of stuff, but like I say, we want to make it a little bit more varied in terms of what we talk about. Sam, let's come on to you, seeing as you are our guest today.
Absolutely.
WSC Finance. Do you want to take your chance? There's a little bit of self-promotion.
Self-promotion.
You haven't got like a time slot or anything. It's not like an ITV advert, but
I'll keep it short.
Crack on, go
basically,
for it.
WSC's founded off kind of three chaps that all had a passion for helping businesses grow. That passion became a reality earlier this year.
Yeah.
And we fund an array of different products and assets. So you've got your unsecured loans, your asset finance when it comes to race cars themselves, hence why we're here with Tommy. I think that's how you got in touch with Tommy as well.
There's the
link.
Connection.
There's the link.
Yes, the racing world.
Yeah.
And it just evolves. You kind of got your office fit outs, your restaurant fit outs as well. But WSC's bread and butter is mainly asset finance and unsecured loans.
There we go. So there's the link. So it's kind of a client kind of relationship we've got here, but
I think we first fit it off just with like a couple of conversations from one of the team partners that we both sponsor, and then from there it just kind of evolved, didn't it? And the first meeting ended up being more beers than it should have been.
Yeah.
And the next thing I had an email from you, Zach, saying she'll want to be on the podcast. That's brilliant.
Yeah, I sort of like got you 4 beers deep and then asked you the question. You're like,
Can't
I'll
say
do
no
that.
now. Dutch courage.
Week later.
Yeah.
I think it was a random text that I got. Tommy was like, right, we've got our first victim. So then,
there we go.
and many
the
more
best
to
one.
come. So from your point of view, Tommy, actually, let's talk about Mairon Freight. We'll do this. This is our first, it's our first episode. We've got to mention, it's going to give a solid mention throughout the entire podcast to everyone that we do. But talk about a little bit about how you've come to be here, how we're even here. But go for it.
Well, how I came to be this, that was meant to be a summer job when I was 16, and that ended up being 17 years ago. So, my dad started Mairon, 98? He's been in freight. I won't say how many years because he'll probably listen to this, but at the same time, yeah. So I came in 2007, and just sort of learnt a bit of everything about the business. I remember Dad saying to me he didn't want me to learn anything from him, to learn from the bottom up, which is actually, looking back, probably the best way to do it.
Yeah. Did you moan at the time?
Oh
or?
yeah, and for about 10 years after that as well. But yeah, no, it was good fun. It's an interesting world, the freight forwarding world. You know, people don't kind of realise how goods get from one place to another.
No.
And we're sort of the middlemen in between that organise it all. So we do the weird and wonderful, everything from a piano to garden furniture to cars to anything.
We're going to put that on TikTok as well. I think we're going to show the array of things that you actually do. Watch out for the Mairon on TikTok as well. We were actually saying, a couple of us, we walked into, you had your corporate day, didn't you, a little while ago. We were like, how'd you get into this? Like, what? Yeah. How do you get into this? We're looking around this factory and all this stuff in there. I was like, how do you even start? So how did it even start for your old man? I mean, how does it even...
The freight forwarding world is an interesting one. When you fall into it, because you do fall into it,
that's it.
You don't get out of it. One way or another, you're in logistics, and I think it's people will say, yeah, all right, but then they get into it and they never leave. You can do so many different things within it, but yeah, it is one of them industries that you just sort of stick in.
But you also, fair enough, no pun intended, but you have to have your fingers in a lot of pies.
You do.
It's a global business, though, right? I mean, it's not like no day's the same, I should imagine. Or
no, generally, every day's a bit different. There's always different queries and different things that are popping up here, there, and everywhere. I've just come back from Thailand, see agents like ourselves from everywhere around the world, which is amazing. So you do get to see a bit of the world as well.
That was quite cool.
It was.
I saw some of your pictures. I was like, okay.
It took me a few days to recover.
Then you went to Silverstone. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Right, let's talk. Talk about a little bit about what we've been up to lately. That would just come out naturally. But let's talk about this thing called business. We were just having a chat before the record button was hit.
Yeah.
Like you say, falling into it, whether it be family, whether it be whatever. I mean, how are you sitting here right now? I mean, chatting to what we're doing, talking about finance and all that sort of stuff. I mean, what's your journey kind of thing?
A lot of sleepless nights, I think, is probably the main one, getting into business. Kind of you fall into it, and then, well, as Tommy says, falling into freight, you don't get out of it. And I think finance is exactly the same. Once you get into it, you can't get out, and then it's just a lot of hard graft. I know a lot of people say it of a lot of businesses, but genuinely finding the prospects, working the prospect, becoming a client like Tommy, and then you build these relationships, and everything's done on relationships. The way I see it, in finance, everything's done on the rapport, and then over the time, it develops.
Yeah, I mean, so how? I mean, in terms of owning your own business, did you ever? Was it always the dream for either of you, or do you think, no, I just want to go get a job, get my beer money, and have a nice house, or was it literally like?
Yeah, it took a few years. I think the guys in the office that still worked there from when I started will probably turn around to me and said, yeah, you definitely didn't seem like you wanted it at the start. You know, I was turning up, I'll be honest, when I was sort of 18, 19 and just rocked up from being out all night. So, you know, that's the way it is. But
and nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed. Well, people would like to say that, I guess. But yeah, no, it's one of them where you just sort of grow into it, I think, and more and more responsibility comes your way, and then you sort of thrive off that, and you build that, and you build it up, and go. I think
it's the stresses. Like, I think when you get stressed,
you kind of get addicted to it. As well.
You get addicted to it, and you just got to keep pushing it, and then you try and find another one.
But is there a fight or flight kind of thing about it? Like, literally, are you 6 months in to owning your own business and thinking, what have I done? Because I've heard most people say,
100%.
Most people have gone, what have I done? How do I just go
100%.
back to stacking shelves in Tesco's and having a
100%,
paycheck every month and doing overtime when I want to do it, and I don't do it when I want to do it? You know what I mean? So
100%. Like, I still do it now. I still think to myself, like, why am I sitting here talking about websites? Why am I sitting here talking about marketing? Our skill set's like moving on with sales.
Right.
So it's kind of, you have
and
to
that's generally
dabble.
at like 10 p.m. at night, actually, when you should be turning off. You know, that's the thing. It's
and the wife's next to you going, what are you doing? Oh, I'm just talking about websites. Why? You pay people to do that. It's like, well, you do, but
you've got to have an
interest in it.
Yeah,
100%. It's your business.
You've got to have your fingers in pies.
You got your fingers in the pies. All the pies.
Love it. We've mentioned it about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Can I just add, just on fingers and pies, when it first went live, a friend of mine took a screenshot and said, eating all the pies. So thank you very much, David Fry.
He's got a shout eating. That's harsh, isn't it? And we tried to use a really nice picture.
Well, I mean, I'm not the smallest by any means, but I was a hell of a lot bigger when I knew Dave. And coming out of playing rugby and then going into finance and sitting down and carrying on eating the same as I did when I was playing rugby, it changed the body.
A few less steps.
Yeah.
So the rugby was replaced behind a desk.
No movement, no activity, and it got carried away. And one of those was pies. So,
We'll come on to that. I have a feeling there's a linking of you own your own business and all of a sudden having to ditch certain hobbies or have new ones and simply embark on that. We'll come on to that in a moment. But going back to what you were saying, what do you do? How do you sort of do that? I mean, I know you've got to, as you own your own business, you've got to trust people. Yeah. And I find that there's almost a tipping point. I mean, I'm there at the moment, I'll be honest. I've got some people within this room that I trust, and there's another chap that you've met, Sam, a business partner, trust with my life kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then it gets to a tipping point where you get busy, and you're like, now I've got to trust more people.
Yeah.
And it goes further and further and further. And then, like you say, I think your missus has just sort of summed it up like, you pay people to do that. And is it as easy as that? Or you've got to actually trust? There's got to be an element.
100%. You've got to, you're only as good as the team that are within the company, right? Everything that the successes of the businesses that we sort of all run is only off the back of the people in the office putting the graft in at the same time, it's
hard.
Getting that right team, and like you say, when you grow, it's finding that balance of, you don't want to grow too fast, you don't want to, because if you do, you can kind of lose traction of that, and then you lose the service you provide, right?
Of course,
and it is about the service you provide.
Yeah,
we are a service-based industry. That's what we do. You have to have the people there to back you up.
Absolutely.
I think it's not being scared of people coming and going as well.
Right.
So you can have a huge amount of trust in people, but sometimes even the people you trust might not be the best.
Yeah.
So you have to have those awkward conversations, and as long as it's done on the basis of having a good conversation, it should be fine. So you just have to bite the bullet really, and just know that people do come and go, and
that's something we've got to learn along the way at the same time, isn't it? Learning and having them conversations, which is again.
I feel like I'm using this as a consultancy for my business. You were taking notes. Anyone taking notes? And I'm taking notes with these two businessmen. I was like, oh, okay, is that how they do it? But I think like you said, your missus sums it up so well. Just trust someone else to do that. I was like, okay, thanks. I'll close the laptop then. It's not as easy as that, right? You've got to you literally take it home with you, and that's what one of my questions was. I was referred to my.
Well, before that, you got to tell us about you. Come on.
Oh, I'd tell us about Fortis. We talk about Fortis. We are Fortis Limited. Is actually the company name because Fortis is everywhere. The actual company name. So when we come to do our company name, we really like Fortis. Strong in Latin. Did you know that, David? So it means strong in Latin. We like that and we're a content agency. So, marketing agency is such a broad term. Yeah. So you go to, we're a marketing agency. And people go, what do you do? I was like, everything. I was like, we could do. We just want to focus on this. So essentially, we're a content agency focusing on social media platforms, a bit of paid stuff as well, Google bits as well, website. But we mainly, for companies that are, for example, really, really busy doing this bit over here that makes them all their money. And they need people that they can trust that want to do this bit for them. That's what we want to do. We want to take that off their hands, and we want to be your go-to. So almost an extension of your business. So we could be a company with 100 people, and I could go, we do the personal touch, and we the people to touch, and that's the thing we're wondering, where do you want to go with it?
It's that
do you
balance, right?
Yeah. So we want to go that. Oh, well, we're a massive company. You might lose some people that actually like the personal touch of you being an extension of their business and investment in you kind of thing. So that's what we do. We take on their work, do their content, do their social media and all that sort of stuff. So, and the link between us all is motorsport.
It is.
Which
It
is
It is indeed.
which is what you do meet so many people within that wonderful world of motorsport. I mean, British Touring Car Championship. We're going sort of arse about face with the schedule, but we knew we would.
Yep.
How are we involved in motorsport? Do you want to go for how are you involved in the British Touring Car Championship?
Yeah, Mairon kind of. It was through COVID. I was.
Were you bored?
Yeah, no, it was. My wife's cousin actually sponsors as well in the Accelerate team.
Oh, okay.
And S2M, give them a shout out.
Okay, yeah, it's yeah.
Simon
I was trying to reach the logo. I was like, which logo have I
Yeah,
filmed?
that's it. So we basically sort of had an introduction through that.
Yeah.
Through Simon, and just kind of grew over the years.
Yeah.
We did it a couple of small years, and then we just thought, you know what? Like I said, I've always wanted to do something a bit different.
Yeah.
And me and my dad sort of had a sit down and went, right, let's go a bit bigger with this.
Yeah.
And we did the bonnets last year.
You did, yeah.
And then this season, just ended. We did the screen headers, and yeah, it's great. But like you said, the team's great as well. So like you say, you get to meet lots of lovely people, and
yeah,
it's good fun.
That's it. I mean, and the same with you. I mean, it's part of your business, right?
Yeah, so how me and Tommy know each other is Accelerate, but so I've known Justina for a few years over at Accelerate, and we got talking again off the back of a client of mine that owned a small 2-man delivery service business, whose son competes in the mini challenge, which Accelerate are part of.
Okay.
And I just got back in touch with Justina, and it kind of evolved from there, and then we sponsor, and we're on the front wing, right and left wing of every car. Not quite as big as Tommy, but budgets don't let us do that at the minute, but maybe one day. Yeah, that's how we met, and that's how all three of us are sat there right now.
Three of us all sat around chatting about it. It is a weird and wonderful paddock, the British Touring Car Championship.
Yeah,
I don't
really
think
is.
I'm doing it a disservice by saying it's weird. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's so diverse.
But it is really...
There's no one business is the same, really, other than the race teams that are there, but even then, they're all different in the way they operate.
Yeah.
So nothing's the same.
We've stumbled on something quite special in that team. It is a really funny sort of how all these some really big companies, some really small little companies as well, all bring their people to celebrate. These 4 drivers go around the track, but there's a little bit of a camaraderie there that we didn't bargain for, I don't think. Because I genuinely have such a laugh at the race weekends, and if it wasn't that, the long days that we do, the 12-hour, it would be a real grind.
Yeah.
But it's not as much because there's friendly faces everywhere, and it sounds so cheesy. And what an advert this is for Accelerate.
I was going to say, yeah. So the logo's going to be a bit bigger next.
They don't pay enough. Sorry, Justina.
Yeah.
Cut that out. I'm keeping that in. They don't pay us enough, or it's not cheap enough to sponsor. It's not cheap enough for you.
Just on a discount, right?
Yeah, discount, 100%. So let's go on to the nitty gritty stuff. I want to hear some, like, how hard is it? We're actually all running businesses now. I didn't think I would be running a business at all. It kind of fell in my lap. Thanks to someone, I don't know if you ever met Dan Kirby.
I did.
Very, very nice man. Unfortunately not with us anymore, but he set us on this path with I don't think he wanted to lose us. He didn't want to lose me and Sam, and wanted to keep us. He was like, I've always wanted to do this. We've always chatted about it. Do you want to do it? With none of the risk. He basically was like, you can have an office, you sit there, go call people and get some work. And we were like, okay, well, we know a lot of people, so let's start there and through Dan and through everything. So I didn't realise we were going to own a business, but it's how hard is it running a business and then doing this whole thing called life? Was in family. We've got families.
Yeah, we've got families.
We've got families. We've all got families. So how is it? And actually, just how bloody hard is it? On a scale of 1 to 10, at times. I mean, try and sum that ridiculously broad question up. Sam, there you go. Over to you.
Yeah, you can go first on this one, mate. I'm going to take
hard.
Yeah. We'll be back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, no, I don't think you really ever fully. And there's that term, work-life balance.
Yeah.
I don't think it's ever really there. I think work-life balance is specified to you as an individual and how you manage that. I don't think I do manage it, is the honest answer. I just think I've got a support network around me that understand my commitments, that then makes it a lot easier when you're not there and not present.
That's so funny saying. I don't think I manage it.
No,
Yeah, but
that's,
I'm not doing this. I'm
yeah,
not
I
managing
think,
it.
and I think that's the honest. I think like you do manage it, obviously.
Of
Like,
course, no, I get it. Yeah.
but not here burning myself out. But I think
Yeah.
ultimately, as long as you got that support network around you, they're the ones that actually help you to manage it.
Do they bear the brunt of it a little bit?
Massively,
Yeah.
massively.
Yeah.
I think I said earlier, like even as of late, me and the wife have to have the conversations.
Yeah.
Like, where are you? What you doing?
Yeah.
Like, you need to be here. And I got she's nearly a year old now, but she's 11 months old.
Yeah.
And I got a 4.5-year-old at home, and it's
Oh,
like
wow.
got to be there for them at the young
Yeah,
ages as well.
Of course.
It's difficult. It's difficult.
It's hard, so hard to keep saying, well, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah,
You know what I
do you know
mean?
what? I say that so much. It's unreal. I mean, my two are a bit older, so 8 and 11, but so my daughter's just started secondary school, and it's
He's
a
got his
whole
own
new
pressure.
kettle of fish now.
Absolutely,
Like,
same here.
and yeah, I always dreaded I love having my kids
Of
and
course.
and having a daughter, but that was always my worry, my scare.
Yeah.
Everyone goes, "Why do you go to the gym so much?" And I'm going, because I've got a daughter.
Yeah.
So I just want, do you know what I mean? You got to set a tone early.
I need that motivation.
it's like-
I need that. Mine
I
are
was
still
like,
young,
right.
both daughters.
Oh,
yeah, you
man.
got to. Oh yeah. I'm hoping Alfie suddenly does a bit of the job for me when he's, instead of just chasing her friends, I want him to actually look after her at the same time and do my job. So I want to get him in the gym early as well.
Yeah. But I think this is the thing. Like I love that analogy. Like, yeah, I'm not really managing it, but I'm just getting through with how, because essentially, the reason you do it, and like you say, you've had some growth recently, gone up to 8 employees or whatever, which is a little way off where we are just yet. But I can't say that enough to my kids. I mean, I took the kids for a week away in the touring car calendar. There was a spare week that I had. I was like, I'm going to go away. I went away to Turkey, and mine are 10 and 12. So it's a little bit easier for me to justify money. They're starting to get it, but they don't really get it. They're just asking for money when they want it. So they don't really understand. But they know the cost of stuff. That's about it, really. So they know what's expensive and what's not really. But then they were kind of like, I was trying to explain to them when we were away. I was like, look, all them, weekends away, all them long days, all them days where you've had to be with your mum. I paid for this holiday, and lucky enough for the first time ever, I've not had to put it on a credit card.
God, yeah.
So it was it was the
Yeah.
hard work going
Yeah.
in, and they kind of were like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. Obviously, it was short lived,
Yeah.
and they obviously want you to be there all the time.
Yeah.
Of course they do, but it is very, very difficult, isn't it?
Big
like
time.
getting that.
Yeah,
It's switching off. That's the biggest issue.
That's it. Like Sam said, it was, you had that conversation with the other half, and you. Luckily, I employed my wife, so she kind of understands a bit more so. But at the same time,
I'm trying to.
it's a good shout.
Hold on,
Definitely doesn't want to.
The one question I get is, "Oh, you work in the same office?" I'm like, "No, I bought a new warehouse just so we can have 2 locations." No, I'm joking. That's not why.
You put
That's
her
not
over
why. But yeah, I think it is a case of that understanding and support team, right? We were saying it earlier with the staff and having the full trust.
Yeah.
You've got to have that support team. You're only going to be as good as the people around you, right?
Yeah,
So
no,
you
of
surround
course.
yourself with good people. It's only going to benefit you.
Yeah. Do you think your kids are having to grow up a little bit quicker?
Yeah.
Because of it, though. Like they almost have to be more understanding to some business world and money.
Yeah,
when you
well,
don't really want to expose them to it.
No, and I've got like my 4-year-old daughter now, and I love it, but then I'm also sitting there like, wow, this is really takes an effect. The other day, she walked into the living room with a piece of paper and said, "Daddy, that's the paper that the lender's got to sign." And it's like, so she knows, she's listening to me on the phone, and the other day I caught her in the hallway on her little princess fake phone going, "No, Julie, no, the discount is this. I won't be in tomorrow."
So did she negotiate our deal?
Well, pretty much, mate, yeah. Have you seen the interest rate?
It was your bit of paper, funny enough. She
That's
told
it,
it.
yeah.
It's only when you hear that's like, wow, she's literally listening to everything I do.
Yeah.
When she comes into the office and spends half a day with me, she knows the job now.
Yeah.
And that's also
So-
when you do take it home, because that's what we do.
Exactly.
And you don't mean to, but you end up talking about it a lot
Yeah.
more. They do listen, and they are like
course.
sponges,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so pull on the heartstring. Hopefully, there's no tears in this podcast. It will get us on a rough day. But they literally are doing it because they want to feel close to
Yeah,
you.
part of it,
And that's
Yeah.
kind of, it's really lovely. Sometimes you
Yeah.
see it, but it's
And
also heartbreaking in a way
Yeah.
because you're like, oh, you just want to be.
That's now taken over her life.
you just want to chat to me about something that we've got mutual
exactly,
interest in,
yeah.
instead of chatting to maybe something that we've missed, maybe a play or a, I don't know. I think what am I missing this week? I think it's an athletics thing that he's got on or something like that. Instead of chatting about that, he'll chat about like, oh, that was the racing good at the weekend. I know he's not particularly interested in that. You know what I mean? He just well, you know. But yeah, it is a hard thing. And talking about taking it home, I mean, you can't not. I mean, I used to work for someone a long time ago. It'll remain nameless because I might be having a pop here, but only a little one. But he had a rule. He was literally didn't take it home. Once it's 5 o'clock, he shut it down. That was it. And I was like, how do you do that? In this day and age, like
I think sometimes industries dictate that as well.
Of course,
I think there is a bit of a difference.
There's only a certain amount of stuff you can do.
And what we do, a lot of our clients, you're dealing with sensitive information. It's their financial needs of a business or them personally. So they expect you to be available 24/7.
Yeah.
It's not like if they're abroad and they ring me at 1 o'clock in the morning, some of my clients will expect me to answer the phone.
Absolutely.
Just because they need to talk about it because we're in different time zones. And that's the difficulty is, I think certain industries, and you're very similar with the freight and being overseas, like messaging me, what was it? I was in the afternoon having lunch and you were smashed, I think, in Thailand. From the conversations.
Probably not.
I love
wrong.
this. Who's listening to this podcast?
Yeah. I was just thinking, okay. But no, you're right. I mean, especially in freight, on a day-to-day basis throughout, say, Monday to Friday, my alarm goes off at 5:15. I get to the gym, which opens at 6 at say 20 to 6, and I do my emails to China because they're awake. So I do what I need to do that's come in overnight. Yeah. I do it then and then through my session, so that I'm ready to go back to my customers who come in at say 8, 9 o'clock, whatever it is. Yeah. And then throughout the day, obviously back and forth, and then the evening comes and you speak to the US. Yeah. So it is literally 24/7. Yeah. But if you don't do it, you know, again, you pride yourself on the service that you provide.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's the little bit extra that
I think being
matters, you know,
in our positions as well. It's setting the example. Not that I would ever expect any of my staff. They have contracted hours. Yeah. However, it's kind of like if you want to go above and beyond, and I want everyone to elevate themselves within the business. Yeah. This is what you need to do. And if I'm not setting that example, well, they're never going to do it. Yeah. And I think that's when you goes back to my comment of trying to manage it. Yeah. You're not really managing it. You're just trying to set an example to get the respect you need to help everyone and develop from there.
I mean, like I say, taking it home is something that it can't be helped. I think it's evolved as well. Like back in the day, let's face it, due to social media and due to technology and everything like that. Yeah. Back in the day, you probably had a lot of our parents and grandparents, whatever, that after work it was just we can't do anymore because nothing. So everyone goes home, and it was that mentality. But now it's not that mentality. No. It's like especially with content and socials and stuff like that we do. It is constant.
The 9 to 5 is kind of disappearing now, isn't it? Okay, especially
absolutely.
Like the work from home and the different things like this, depending on what your industry is. But I remember when I was about a couple of years into the job, we would have Blackberries.
Yeah.
So when an email came in,
who remembers a Blackberry?
I know. It's just this one story, but it cracks me up. Yeah, that's it. Oh God, BBM. Wow. God. Yeah. But Jamie had his. He was our general manager now. But he's been with us pretty much from the get-go when Mairon started, and a long history in freight, and we call him the Oracle of the office sort of thing. Everyone goes to him with any questions. But he had the BlackBerry, and we had to take it off him because he was doing that in the evening. You know, when you had an email coming in, the red button thing used to flash.
Right.
So we were like, right, can we get some like black tape or just break that little light so that he doesn't have to look at it every time, because you have to turn your phone over. Otherwise, it was just constantly there flashing at you. And
nice, it's a constant reminder.
It was, and
that's why Blackberries went
it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
But Blackberry, oh God, I remember Blackberries. I was the only one that didn't have one at one point. I think they were so popular.
It got popular, eh?
It got popular and then went. They were a bit like
wiped out by the iPhone.
The iPhone absolutely obliterated it. Right, let's talk about. There was one thing you mentioned there about taking it home. So let's talk about. We don't want to be too down on it, but it will be quite interesting, I think. How do you cope with it when shit goes wrong? Oh, first swear word. Just
damn it! I was banking on that being me.
Yeah.
There's a swear jar.
I've held as many back as I could.
When stuff goes wrong. I mean, again, we talked about the support network, but when stuff goes wrong and you get home and, I don't know, there's something being binge watched on the telly The Netflix series are pretty decent nowadays. They're constantly got your attention or whatever. But when stuff's going wrong,
Yeah.
I mean, surely it's like, do you have an office? Do you literally say, I'm not coming home this evening, I've got to work when I get home? Do you block it out? Do you what? Or is it a case of, I can't help, I'll get to that in the morning? I mean, what is it? It's a bit of a mixture.
Go on, Tommy. You can go first.
Yeah, I mean,
Stuff
again,
must
you
go
have them
wrong all the time,
conversations. Yeah, it does. It does. We're problem solvers in the end of the
Yeah,
day. You know,
yeah.
we sort stuff out. But yeah, it's very tough to just go home and act. You don't want to act happy.
It is a bit of
You know,
an act, though.
it is really hard, but you kind of have to sometimes.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you don't always want to go home and then rant it out.
No,
so
of course, yeah.
you end up holding it in, and actually that's the worst thing you can do in a way, you know,
Yeah.
right? If you have something, it's like anything when it comes to mental health, anything, the best thing you
Yeah.
can do is talk about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the same with the little things, but they add up at work, and then you go home, especially when you've got the kids and you want to see the kids and you want to spend time with them, and it is very hard to do that. I mean, my wife and mum is saying that our go-to is we put Hunger Games on, the films. That is our go-to. If we're both stressed, we just put it on.
What?
I
Why?
had no idea. I
Loads
had
of aggression.
no idea.
You two want to
Lots
of
of aggression.
We're like, oh, that's us in the film. Yes.
Something about people killing each other to the
Lots
death.
of aggression. Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah. Oh, there we go.
And yeah, whoever she likes. Anyway, it just takes you away, you know, but it puts you in a different place because it is this whole, well, it's like Harry Potter, isn't it? It just takes you into a different place, and then you can kind of switch off. There's nothing you can do about it. Don't stress about it in a way.
Yeah.
If you can't do anything about it,
Right.
what's the point of stressing about it?
Yeah, of course.
You know? If there's something you can do about it, okay, you go, right, how can I fix this, and go through it. But if you can't do anything about it, try not to stress about it.
There we go. So you're going to go put Hunger Games on later? Or?
Oh, I'm going to give it a go. Yeah, absolutely. No.
We'll set up a Zoom call, watch it together.
Yeah. So family. What was that? What came out in COVID? House party, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
We'll all have a house party.
We still do a Zoom call every now and then with the family as
Oh,
well.
yeah. Because I remember Zoom quizzes were a thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we do. All of a sudden, we just wanted to know how good we were at trivia. Like, I don't know.
And do you know what? That's what we do. We do sort of a Friday or a Saturday night quiz. There's about 10 of us on the screen. Every now and a few weeks we'll get and do it. I get so drunk because you just keep going and getting another one. I'm sitting there constantly with the drink, man.
Just easy.
You get well into it, didn't you? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, in terms of something goes wrong, shit hits the fan. What
I
happens
think
with you?
very similar to Tommy when you have to kind of go home, try and block it out, be happy. When I mentioned earlier about the support now, I'm quite lucky in that sometimes my wife's like, it's almost like you start the timer and she's like, right, ready, go. And you do have to vent, you do have to talk about it. And even if she doesn't respond, with my wife sat there just listening, and then she'll be like, but tomorrow will be a better day. Yeah. That's all you need, because you've got to get it off your chest. And then you look at your kids or you look around the room and you're like, I'm relaxed now, I'm now home. There are occasions where sometimes that problem that you've taken home does need fixing there and then, so I can take myself off to my office I got at home and try and fix it. But I think the reality is when you finish work, most people know, and most entrepreneurs and business people know, there are time frames when people work. So what's going to really change between getting home at 6 o'clock and then 9 o'clock in the morning when you next start? Nothing. Everyone's just slept on it, and tomorrow everyone might be in a better mood to actually sort it. So sometimes it's better to kind of go home, relax, sleep on it, and then stress about it again if you need to.
That's it. I think a lot of people will try and fix it even when they can't. And it does take someone from completely somewhere else
out of it
to go.
It's also
like
the worst time too. Everyone's got irrational thoughts at that moment. When something's gone wrong, everyone's like at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And you almost set yourself with a domino effect of making a poor decision, possibly.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I've not thought this through. I'm trying to fix it. And it does take someone completely out of the blue to go, well, can you do anything about, like, really ask childlike questions as well, and make you feel really, you think like you're almost this big CEO kind of person, and I've got to solve this, and they go, right, can it be fixed now? What's going to make a difference if you deal with it at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning? Nothing. Do you want to come sit down and have some dinner then? Okay.
I've got to eat.
Like led me to the dinner table with their hand like I'm a child. That's kind of almost like what it's like, and it's the real simple thought process sometimes that gets you out of it. But no, I kind of get that. Your, motivation with the gym, surely, I've always wondered this, I always wanted to ask you, Surely some mornings you can't be asked.
Oh, 100%. Mainly when it's, -2 and you get out of
Still
bed
go,
and it's
though.
still cold. I still go. Yeah, that's something that's
Has it
sort
become
of...
like work though for you? You've got to. I've got to get up and go to the gym.
It's become a non-negotiable.
Right.
So I've set it as part of my day that is a non-negotiable part.
Why?
So because if you allow yourself to say, oh, I'm going to go to the gym, that's why I do it when I first get up, because it's like, right, I set my alarm, I sit up straight away and get up, and I'm not even awake half the time by the time I've left the house, but it just becomes a non-negotiable. If you do it, I'm going to go to the gym at 5 o'clock, something will come up. There's going to be something that comes up. If it's not a non-negotiable, something will come up, and then you'll just go, oh, I'll go at 6, or I'll go at 7, and you'll be like, I'm still not going.
Right.
So it's always been a big part of a good 15 years training. I was a lot bigger, like Sam was back in the day.
How much bigger?
I was 21 stone when I was 14 years old.
Really?
Yeah. I lost, 6 stone in 5 months.
Oh my God.
But that was more on the side of not having the best of time at school because of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, from then I was like, right, okay, I'm going to try and do this right, look after the body a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely days you get up and you go, I really don't want to be here.
Right. But it's that mindset of no, I've got to. So even if, like, for example, no, I've got to do that.
Yeah.
I can't not.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things that will change it. I always say 5 times a week sort of thing,
Of course,
right?
Yeah.
But again, if you've got to go out and on say a weekday with a client, or you're going out in the evening, you know you're gonna have a few drinks and food, and you're not gonna be back till late. Sleep's just as important, right? Because you still got to function the next day. In the office. So I might go, okay, the one thing I'll do is I will move that day to later in the week, but I will make sure that I go that later in the week. I won't let that snowball effect. But yeah, it's something that I'd like.
In terms of like extenuating circumstances, like your business partner and what he's going through at the moment, it must be really, really difficult. You think, like, we've only been going since January.
Yeah, I think that the main thing that kind of struck for me is we became close. I'd say like we're kind of like best mates now as well. And then to have like a best friend going through what he's going through, but also your business partner, it was then like, right, he might not be able to be present in a lot of this, so my commitment to him is I'm going to make sure this works.
Right.
And I think that's a lot of the pressures that I've had to talk to family and friends and my wife about, to be like, I'm about to double my workload to make sure this is still here for him. Even though family's priority and all that sort of stuff, but the business itself needs to work, whether he's there or not. And that gave me the motivation to just push on, try harder.
So you use it as almost as a motivation tool.
It's an excuse to be like, get up, go to work, make it happen.
You're doing it for yourself now.
It's not just me.
Yeah.
And to be honest, as bad as what he's going through is, I'm sat here like we're in a good position as a company.
Yeah.
He's messaging me all the time like, thank you so much. He doesn't need to do that, but he does.
Of course.
And when he can be present, he is.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just it's mad how it kind of just clicked. And to be honest, it kind of pushed some of the personal stuff way out of the picture to really focus on driving it forward. And I think with the team we got now, I've got a great team. They've all stepped up as well.
Do they buy into that?
Well, they're like, this guy at the end of the day is a friend of a few of them, and he's becoming friends with them as well. Like we try and run our business like we're not the directors, we're everybody's mate. We're very open. Everyone talks to each other. Doesn't matter what position you're in. There's there's not really a hierarchy. And when he does come in, everyone's like wants to talk to him and ask him how he's getting on and have a real kind of bond. But they've all stepped up from it, and they've all gone, no, we want to make sure this works for Charles. We want to make sure this happens. And one lad in particular, he's going above and beyond at the minute. So it's really, well, it sounds really bad. Like it's almost like we're profiting out of a nasty scenario, but we're not. It's just everybody's rallied round a bit more.
No,
really
it's like it's almost like a galvanised the
absolutely
team, right? I mean,
well, it's brought the team closer together, that's for sure. And some of our clients as well, like I've been quite lucky with what we do with the personal touch. There's a few clients that have gone above and beyond. Like one of them, we've become good friends. I was recently in Portugal with him as well, and he drove up when he found out. 2 days later, drove up and was like, "You're not paying for anything. I'm taking you out." He's from Wales, and he drove to Northampton, 3.5 hour drive, and just took me out, and me and him just got absolutely obliterated. Although both the wives didn't like it, but he was like, it's needed. You need to numb your brain, like, and it's that sort of network that you need in these times.
It's Joe, we were saying about sort of the me taking over at Mairon on a day-to-day basis. I mean, and stepping up is something that I think anyone that knows me would say that I have done from where I was.
Yeah.
And my mum's diagnosed with Alzheimer's about 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
But it was really only sort of the back end of COVID that it really noticed that Dad needed to be there for her more.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Alzheimer's, there's only one way it goes, unfortunately.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that whole stepping up, doing it for Charles, like you were saying, Sam, and making sure that the stress wasn't on him at all, is exactly what same sort of situation with my dad.
Yeah.
And going, right, okay, Dad, you need to be there for Mum.
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. I've got this.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that I do have a team that are all involved. Mum used to run the accounts for Mairon, so we're family business, and everyone knows about Mum's situation and knows my dad, and we're all friends at the same time. So having that support and allowing my dad to sort of take a step back a little bit. Yeah. Although he's always there, and I always, because of the knowledge he's got, it would be silly of me not to utilise that.
Lean on him a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So he's my best mate at the same time, which is nice. We've always had that relationship. I've been able to work together as well as at the start live together, and again, that was another thing, taking your work home. You were never leaving it then.
No. You got your boss literally
it's
like clipping you around here, get out of bed.
100%. So, but I remember my wife saying, we were going around Sunday lunches a few years ago, and my wife turned around and went, that's all lovely, and we can do that, but it will take 5 minutes, and we're talking about work.
We're talking about business, yeah.
And it was that way, but it's something that we sort of get on and you do. But that's it. And I'm lucky that Ash has come on board over the last couple of years, and because the workload is so big, and I'm learning how to run a company at the same time as trying to actually do it. That having somebody like Ash by my side has been a massive help to me. And I'm sure he's sitting in his office now. He's going to listen to this and be like, "Oh, yeah, nice." Yeah, thank you very much. But it's true.
Well done, Ash.
He loves me so much.
He nailed this. But no, it is, and you need people around you like that.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone is different as well.
Yeah,
So people can't listen to this and go,
of course,
I'm doing it wrong, or everybody reacts differently. 100%. You need to take time off if you need to take time off, because you just burn out, and again, that's not good for anybody. 100%. Right? Everybody is different in how they react to things, but one thing my dad always said to me, my mum always said to me actually, is that out of every negative, try and find the positive. Because generally there is a positive of some sort within it.
100%.
It might take years to find it,
100%.
but there is definitely a positive within something.
We've covered quite a lot, but I wanted to touch on something else that is, I think, fear in all of us, right? I'm not talking about from a family point of view as well as the work thing or a personal point of view, is the future and what goes forward. It is such a scary thought, isn't it? And sometimes it's the most amazing thought. Because you get with the beers with your mates or with a mate, you're like, we could do this and we could do that. In fact, my whole thing is pitching to people, right? I mean, I'm here because me and Tommy have come up with this idea on how we think this will be really good, and other things that we're doing, not just this, other things that we're doing for Mairon. And you've got to have that positivity because you genuinely believe it. And I wouldn't have a business if I didn't believe it, and it works for people. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a business. But that future on where to take things, like where do I want my family to be in this amount of years' time? Where do I want? Is it an each day as it comes kind of thing, or do you have to plan 10 years in advance? Or is it a bit of both?
I'd like to have said that I'd like to plan maybe not 10 years, but I say a couple of years going. But then COVID hit, and you go, can you take things a couple of years because everything changes, right? So mindsets have changed a bit. I do personally when it comes to that, when the business side of things. But I mean, you've got to have a plan, right? You've got to have a plan within a business and an idea of the directions you want to go.
Of course.
But again, in the freight world, things are so diverse in what you handle and what you do, and what opportunities that arise, that you can go off in multiple directions. But you've always got to have an idea of where you want to go, which we have. But at the same time, that's exciting that it can go off in different directions, right?
Of course.
You got to open your mind up to different things. Hence, a freight company running a podcast with,
getting
Why not?
people all sorts of
All sorts of weird and
walks of
wonderful.
life. So,
Yeah.
no,
I think that's like us. We're trying to. Sounds really corny, but we're trying to make finance sexy, and it's just not. The corporate
I
world.
don't know,
of
but that's your new
finance-
tagline, mate.
There you go. Finance is sexy.
that's the one.
I like that.
We're
I like
making
it.
finance sexy. You heard it here first.
It's really difficult to do it because it is boring, it is mundane, and it's like everywhere everyone talks about the base rate and inflation and all these different pressures. Like when the war in Ukraine happened, I had four or five clients straight away gone bust because they used to buy all their materials from there.
Joking.
And then that adds pressure to our economy, which is then and it's all of those pressures. But to try and make that be like, this is really good, you really need to do it, is hard.
Yeah.
It's reacting to things like that as well.
Exactly.
Right? Like, so we're the same, obviously, in the freight when it comes to the whole Ukraine thing and everything like that. You got to react.
Yeah.
You know, so when you're saying you have a plan, you got an idea, but you've got to have
absolutely
a plan in place.
But what about the family? What about when the missus goes, I've always liked living abroad, or actually, I'd really like to do this, or I'd like to move up here, or I'd like to move up there. You're like, so you got to manage that as well, right?
Yeah. Well, I think going back to what Tommy said, me and my wife, we do want to live abroad.
Yeah.
We know we want to live abroad.
Right. Okay. So it's a shared
just,
goal.
Yeah. It's just when.
Right.
Ideally, maybe in the next 12 to 18 months, but again, you have to run with the punches and see what happens, and we've had a lot of punches this year, so we'll see where we go. But I think if you kind of vision it as we see ourselves in the next 5 to 10 years there abroad, bringing up the kids overseas, that's what we vision.
Nice.
Then we'll get there in the end.
But at the same time, the world we live in these days, it becomes a possibility, right? Like,
absolutely. Everything is possible.
everything's possible. There's nothing that's
everything. Well, everything I do can be done remotely anyway.
And that is the beauty of it, isn't it? Like, you can get to a point where, like, it is possible. And I think a lot of people, like, funny enough, talk about my mum a lot. Jesus, you're getting a lot of but she'll go, well, you can't do that. You're like, almost like that mentality, like, well, how are you going to do that? Everyone does it. I think my friend just moved to Dubai with his two little ones and started a career over there in recruitment. And she was like, what's he going to do? I was like, he's going to send his kids to school over there, Mum. Like, you know what I mean? It's not that big a deal.
Yeah, there's still schools out there. There's still real people.
They live out there. Yeah, it's weird. But, like, and, you know, you could do that, be living abroad in 12 to 18 months. I mean, God, I might not be friends with you. You'll make me jealous from the pictures and all that sort of stuff.
At least we've got somewhere to go.
Yeah.
We can slip
Next
up our
podcast.
business meeting.
Next podcast is in Mallorca.
Oh, you've heard it.
Yeah, and it's business, so you can expense it.
Perfect.
HMRC.
Shout out HMRC. Or you could be a racing driver, Tommy.
Oh, yes. Or
Would
you
you-
could do that. But
Just
again,
drop that in.
Yeah, just drop that in. Why not? But yeah, I'll be racing next year, so it's exciting.
Exclusive. Well, it's not really exclusive. You've announced it. You're going to be a racing driver.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
what? I mean, when you went home, and she must have known. The missus must have known that
It's something
he's
I've
going to
always
be a racing
wanted
driver.
to do,
Right.
but I thought it would get shot down very fast, and weirdly didn't.
But
But
she quite like going to the racing. Is that why?
yeah, but again, it was another thing actually that the kids and my wife, like, they enjoy going. They enjoy being in part of that world, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky in that sense, and it's kind of given that opportunity. But as you know, my daughter likes her editing as well, and so Tilly's going to be.
She's going to be waiting for 40 soon.
That's it. Yeah.
These two are out the job.
And who knows? It could be something that we're launching soon that we could.
I really like that idea earlier.
I think we
by the way.
could come up with. So. Watch this space, but at the same time, it's nice, and it's something that I've always wanted to do. Like I said, did my license, and then
But this is it. You just find a home for it. It becomes a new place. So, for example, you know, I haven't got one of those big, but you're like living abroad or racing driver, or you want to go do this, or you want to go sponsor that, or you want to go out there for a little bit of time. There's all of a sudden you're like, I'm just going to squidge that in there. That racing. So I'm going to grab this racing driver thing. I'm going to squidge it in amongst my family, my business, everything else that I've got going on. I'm going to ram it in there, providing everyone else it works. It's not going to take me away from stuff.
I think it is going to be a bit like that in the next 12 months of seeing exactly how it works.
Right.
And there might be times where it's obviously tough, and we'll have that conversation when it comes up. But at the same time, I want it to be a case of, yes, I'm driving, but I want everyone to be there. I want them to be involved. I want, You know, so it's
I mean, if that happens for a year, or hopefully it's happen for longer, but if it happens for a year, you want to look back at it and be like, what an amazing experience.
Exactly that.
You know what I mean?
Life's too short, right?
Yeah.
Life is too short. You know, if you have an opportunity to do something, do it. Like, give it a go.
Absolutely.
What's the point of looking back in 40 years going, oh, what if?
Yeah.
You know, what's the point?
Yeah.
So
that's it. And I think, you know, we've got the opportunity to do all those things now. I think there was a lot of, you're only restrained by your own mind, right? I mean, that is the thing. As a business now, the mental health side of things, you know, I know everyone's just knocking everyone around the head with it. They use it as a weapon sometimes to have a go at people. They obviously use it, you know, to push good, you know, to do lots of good, which is amazing. But it genuinely, as well as the physical health, it's such a focus on it at the moment. You guys must have to, with that many employees, have to really look after them.
I think it doesn't matter how big it is. I think it's creating the environment.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
If you don't have the right environment, you're always going to have the problems.
Yeah.
But you've got to set the standard from day one. So like when you go into these big corporate banks, they know day one, this is how you operate, this is your day-to-day job, we've made a nice environment, you crack on.
Yeah.
And like for us, in these kind of the smaller businesses, but ever growing, we're trying to find our feet with making that environment, and then two, bringing those people in and going, this is your day job. Because when you're growing, their day job might go off on a tangent a little bit like we have today.
Yeah.
So it's difficult to find it, but I think it's the environment more than anything. And as silly as that is with the mental health, like for example, in our office right now, we're about to put a load of greenery.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be real or fake plants, but on one of our walls with a lit up WSC sign to be a bit more like on the social side, a bit more friendly, and it breaks up that environment.
One of our clients has done that recently. Refinance any car. Refinance any car. Do you know Refinance any car? That's one of our clients.
I've heard of them,
but they've done a very, very similar thing in that sort of thing. But I mean, like you say, creating that environment has almost got to be at the forefront of
100%. It's when we took over this warehouse, the one thing I wanted to do is in the office is do that. You know, we have a pool table in the kitchen. I've got a racing simulator in the office. It's about allowing the staff to enjoy coming to work at the same time.
Absolutely.
Like, I want you to do the work, but at the same time, like, I want you to actually want to be here.
Yeah.
And within that, then the relationships within the staff get stronger, and you are a team, and that's why it is a team, you know. So 100% the environment's key.
It's crucial. It's crucial because, like I say, it's amazing that it's become such a focal point, because it wasn't. I don't think even when I was 18, 19, going into my first jobs and stuff after sixth form, wasn't anything. He was like, you crack on,
wasn't talk about it at all, was it?
That's it. He said, you know, and working environments and the way you were treated, you know, by certain people was okay, but then while you were treated by other people, it was a bit like school. Do you remember you got the devil teacher, you got the nice teacher, and funny enough, like we can talk about school all day long, but that's not really changing either, and that needs to change. But my daughter still comes home from senior school going, oh, I love this teacher, she teaches me such a this way, and this teacher's just horrible.
Well, exactly that.
What is going on there? Like surely that needs to be sorted before for any working environment, but that is getting better, and it's got so much better amongst small businesses as well as big businesses. And
but like you say, the more you grow as a business, that and how mental health is going, you do have to see where and what you can put in place to help people, right? You want people to talk to you, and as a boss as well, you've got to be approachable to have that conversation.
Absolutely.
You know, and that is as important as anything else.
That is hard, isn't it? Because you're almost taking, I mean, God forbid anything happens to anyone, or they're going through a difficult time, they felt like it didn't. That's another thing that you can possibly take home. You know, your staff has been going through something, and either they wanted to keep it private, that's fine. But at the same time, you know, they didn't come to you.
The thing is, they can keep it private. You just got to let them know that you're there if they need it.
Exactly.
And that's the key. Well, I don't even put myself in an office. I'm on the floor, sitting with everyone. It's that type of thing. It's like I'm the same as all of you. Yeah. We're all in this together, sort of thing. Yeah, that's really cool. It's the best way.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that. Yeah,
absolutely, it is. Right, okay, we have digressed a lot.
Have.
We knew we were going to go off on a tangent.
We did.
Yeah, we just love the sound of our own voices.
Not
especially
so many pie quips.
not
I
as
thought,
many
but,
pie quips as we thought.
What's your favourite pie?
Favourite pie? Oh, we should mention more stuff.
I think
about
that's got to be
pies.
the question for all of us.
Yeah.
The ending question
This
has
is-
to be, what's your favourite pie?
This
for our
is
guests?
evolving, isn't
like
it?
this.
Yeah. I mean, if I can ask you, if I can push you for a sweet pie and a savoury pie.
There's so
Now
many.
you're asking. I think my problem is I'm not a sweet pie kind of guy.
So you'd much rather two
Sorry.
savouries?
Not
I'm with
that
you
you
on
need
that.
a dating profile
No.
because you got a missus, but that would be.
Yeah, that's
I'm
it.
not a sweet pie.
Fully
kind of-
savoury.
Fully
Uh,
savoury.
Pork pie would be the pie for me.
Proper pork pie.
A pork pie,
Bit of
yeah,
Branston pickle in
savoury.
there?
Huh?
Bit of Branston pickle on
Yeah,
there?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Branston, yeah, Branston and pork pie. Nice big slab of it.
A
Love it.
big pork pie. yeah.
But if it was savoury, I think it'd have to be apple pie.
Oh,
But that's
sweet,
only
yeah.
because
Oh,
I
your sweet
love
one, yeah.
apple crumble.
I'm
an apple crumble more
It's
than
an
an
apple
apple pie.
crumble rather than the pie.
See,
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm going to go for a treacle tart.
Yeah.
Too sweet.
I used to when I was younger.
Just a slither, please.
Just
Slimline.
Just a slimline, yeah.
watching me figure.
Right, just watching my figure, no, but just a little treacle tart, just a slither of it.
Treacle
Yeah.
tart. And
Does
the
it-
savoury
Ice
one?
cream.
What's your
I
savoury?
don't know, there's so much choice. I was just trying to think. I asked the
Surely
question,
at the football,
didn't really know.
surely at Southampton.
Well, yeah.
Mairon, obviously, not only British touring cars, but getting involved in Southampton, which we have to chat about at some point.
Yeah.
Surely you have a pie at half time or something?
I
Do you
haven't
do
had
pies now at the
half-time
football?
pies.
It shows how long I've been to the
I'll be
football.
You
honest,
might
I-
get like a steak and kidney or something.
steak and ale.
Yeah.
A steak and ale pie.
Yeah,
nice.
Love a steak and ale pie.
Love that. I'm
Steak and Stilton. That's a good one.
Steak
Oh,
and
hello.
Stilton.
Yeah, that's a good
Get the
one.
calories
Well, we're
in
getting,
there.
we're getting a bit fancy now.
What's yours?
I think sweet. I mean, you can't beat the little Mr. Kipling apple and blackberry sort of pie. I mean, keep it real. I think
Ones you
they're
can
like-
hide in your top drawer.
Oh, genuinely, those little ones there, Mr. Kipling, you are a bloody godsend. And I think there's the savoury pie has got to be chicken and mushroom.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, more
Okay.
of a chicken rather than a steak
Fair enough.
kind of guy. Steak and Stilton.
Steak and
I'm
Stilton.
gonna go with
Steak,
you're going.
the steak and Stilton, what you'd get at the football or something. If
Yeah,
you was
it's
going to
probably-
get a pie.
yeah.
I think it
But
is. Yeah.
pork pie's still the one.
It's
For
making
me.
me hungry now.
Yeah, we are. It's on that.
Yeah.
We'll go grab something to eat.
Yeah.
I think that is pretty much it. I mean, there's loads of stuff we haven't covered, but there's loads of stuff we have.
Yep.
So I'm pleased.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Sam, for
No,
being.
thank you for your
I mean,
time.
this is the first episode of Fingers in Pies. God knows whose other fingers and whose other pies we're going to be talking about.
Don't.
Yeah.
Do you want to reword that, Zach? I don't
Yeah.
know. We'll think about this over the next few episodes. How we're going to outro this one, Zach.
The best outros I've stumbled upon.
The guys behind the
is-
cameras are
Whose
head in
pies
their
we're
hands.
going to talk about?
Whose fingers we're going to talk about?
Yeah.
Oh, dear.
Careful.
We're ready. Anyway, that's the end of the first episode of Fingers in Pies, episode 1. Thank you very much, Sam. Very much, Tommy.
Cheers, mate.
We'll
See you
get
next
another
time.
victim
Yeah.
next time. But yeah, make sure you tune in. We're all the good streaming services, aren't we, Jim? And some rubbish ones as well.
Yeah.
And we're obviously on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of stuff. Go to Mairon UK, go to WSC Finance, check out what Sam does over there as well, and you'll see our lovely chat.
Brilliant.
There we go.
Yeah. Thank you.
We'll go with that outro, I think.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.